speaking of whores and moral sluts, Washington is full of them. Congress is full of them. And just today, they have now finally passed the Financial Regulatory Reform Bill. In fact, it was passed last night, but now officially the Democratic Congress has now sent it off to President Obama's desk to sign it. It will come into law probably on Wednesday. We are now facing the biggest power grab in U.S. government history. The banks will now be regulated. The financial sector will now be nationalized. And our economy is now on the verge of double-dip recession. My friends, we are now joined by Vernon Sumnicht. I hope I'm getting that pronunciation right. If not, he'll correct me. He is the Chief Executive Officer of Sumnicht and Associates. He is one of the world's top 100 wealth advisors. Vern, welcome to the Cooner Show.
Hi, Jeff. Thanks. And it's Sumnicht.
Sumnicht. Forgive me, Vern. Sumnicht.
Very good.
And you can go to what? www.sumnicht.com. That's your website of your firm, correct?
That's right. Thank you. Yes.
Now, Vern, we're just coming off on the heels of Mel Gibson here. He's
Yeah.
obviously been set up by this sort of Russian, gold digger. Let me put it to him charitably. But there are now gold diggers in Washington who have now passed the Financial Regulatory Reform Bill. What impact is this going to have upon the financial sector, upon the American economy, and upon the American people?
It's not good, huh? I mean, federal government has been making an awful lot of changes all in 1 year, year and a half, I guess. They've already taken over, I guess, successfully now the healthcare industry, or they think, and now the financial industry, right? They've taken over the automotive industry. What's next? And they're willing to spend as much of our future, our children's future, to get what they want. It's I think the definition of moral bankruptcy.
Now, Vern, when you met with my wife when she was up in Green Bay, I believe it was last week, correct?
Yeah.
You're one of the top financial wealth managers in this country. You are plugged into the economy and the financial sector like almost no one else in this country. Tell me, Vern, you said to her, you see a very dire future, very dire economic indicators for this economy, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
What do you see happening, Vern?
Well, we've got the debt at such a level, and I'm not, there's the debt that's on the books and the debt that's off the books. The debt that's on the books is, growing faster and faster every day. And it depends, I guess, who you want to believe. The federal government themselves report an astronomical amount of debt. It took us something like 200 years for the federal government to reach $1 trillion in debt. It did that in 1981.
And we're now, 13 trillion, right?
2009, the administration's increased the debt by $1.9 trillion. That's just a year. That's in 2009 to $12.4 trillion. In the next 10 years, the government is forecast to reach $25 trillion. That's the deficit on the books. That's the debt on the books. The debt off the books, this is the obligations of the United States government. You include the obligations of the Social Security, obligations of our wonderful Medicare, and not including health care, not including anything else, just those two, and you're over $118 trillion. You can't pay those dollars back. You can't. The federal government cannot meet those obligations. It's it's mathematically impossible. So the problem with that is, will the federal government default? Will the federal government, just not pay its obligations? Or will we go into a inflation so that I can pay the dollars back? If I borrow dollars from the Chinese, if I borrow $1 trillion from the Chinese, and at the time the Chinese give me the $1 trillion, I can buy $1 trillion worth of goods. Well, if I inflate it at just 7.2% for 10 years, now I can pay them back $1 trillion, yes, but the $1 trillion only buys half as much.
So in other words, either, Vern, what you're telling us, Vern, I got about maybe 45 seconds left. Either we're heading towards literally national bankruptcy, or we're going to a Weimar Republic, Germany-style hyperinflation.
God, I hope not, but, if the only chance we got that I feel we had, Jeff, is if we can get a truly responsible government. I don't care. It's not Republican. This isn't a Republican-Democrat issue. This is a truly American government in place, government officials in place that are responsible. If we can, and they work strong, they're not going to avoid inflation. At this point, it's a done deal. What they might be able to do is avoid hyperinflation, and we may end up with 10, 12% inflation for the next 20 years or so to get us, to get us out of this mess. But, if we don't, I think the difference, Jeff, confidence. If the American people who are now losing confidence in their federal government, they feel their federal government is working for themselves and their friends in big business, financial businesses, and that's where they're losing confidence. If they can regain the American public's confidence, I think we can avoid at this point yet, maybe avoid the hyperinflation and just end up with a long-term, high inflation rate, but avoid the real blow-off.
Vern, basically, it's now or never.
It's now or never.
It's now or never.
It's November, or it's hyperinflation.
Or bust.
In the next, something. Yeah.
It's November, we take back our country, we take back our government, or it's hyperinflation or bust, correct?
Right. I have confidence in our American people to do the right thing. We've had people try to steal our futures and our children in the past. They haven't done so well. They've all been turned back every time. Let's hope that the American people have the guts, the brains, the stamina to do what the right thing to do and take this back. Take this back for our children.
We've been talking to Vernon S. Sumnicht. He's the Chief Executive Officer of Sumnicht and Associates. He is one of the top family wealth managers, one of the top 100 wealth advisors in America. Go to www.sumnicht.com. Believe me, my friends, you want financial advice? He's the guy to do it. Vern, thank you and God bless you, my friend.
God bless you.